So welcome everyone. Welcome to the latest web episode. I am I'm John,
And I'm Eden.
and welcome to the web episode series that we have, which is all about living a more soulful life, and this is certainly one way to do so. Tonight is all about creating and attracting a divine relationship. And, I know creating and having a fulfilling and satisfying romantic relationship can seem like the central preoccupation sometimes of our lives. I know for me, it certainly it has been at different points in my life. And, I feel really fortunate to have found Eden and feel really fortunate to have been able to create a divine relationship with her. And I know even tonight we've got a lot of things that we would like to share about what it's taken for us to both attract each other as divine partners and what it takes for us to hold each other as divine partners. And so tonight we're just going to share some things from our own experience, of what has had us create a divine relationship. So hopefully that it may illuminate some part of your own path and what you're wanting to create with yours. So I think a good place just to start tonight is just a little bit about what we're going to be covering here. So in this spirit, we're going to be covering conscious versus unconscious coupling, soulmate and twin flames, understanding the difference between those, being worthy of your ideal partner's choosing. We're going to go into a little bit more about what that means and how key we feel that is to creating a divine relationship. And also we're going, in the last 10 minutes, we have a pretty powerful guided journey that we're going to be leading you through on getting some clues on how to be worthy of your ideal partner's choosing at a soul level here. And so I think a good place to go ahead and start tonight is, what do we mean when we say divine relationship? What are we talking about here? And so, for me, it's really simple. It's just a divine relationship for me is a relationship that feeds your soul. It's one that really satisfies you at the deepest level of your existence. I used to say when I first met Eden and I was talking to my friends about her, and I would often say when we had first met that she was the first woman I'd ever met where I connected with on all four levels of our existence. The physical level, the mental level, the emotional level, and also the spiritual or energetic level. And I had many relationships in my life. And many relationships where maybe it was just the maybe it was just the physical connection, or maybe others where I've had a really great energetic or spiritual connection and great emotional connection, but something was missing in the mental level. And so, but with Eden, it was the first time I really felt on all four levels we completely connected on all those levels, and it's
they're compatible on each level.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's one of the things that has allowed us to create a divine relationship for ourselves. And so we'd like to know where you are first off tonight. So I'm going to launch a little poll here to start, and I will eventually be shutting up and letting Eden speak. But let me launch this poll first, because we're just curious as to each of you here. Would you say that you're in a divine relationship right now? And if you would, we don't know if
we don't know what you're pressing on.
We don't know what you're pressing on, so please feel free. So you can either feel like, yes, I believe I am in a divine relationship, or maybe I'm in a relationship, but it's not divine, or I'm single and I want to find my divine partner, or I'm I'm single, but I just don't even care anymore.
We do have some people who've said that.
But I have a shred of hope here. I have a shred of hope about finding my divine partner, and that might be where you stand. If that's where you are, feel free to click that as well. So, going to be closing this poll in 5, 4, 3. Get your answer in if you haven't done so far, and I'm going to be closing it right now. Let me share the results with you guys. So, most of the people, 62% of the people on the line with us right now, are single, and they would like to attract their divine partner. We've got some people feeling like they believe that they are, or they're in a relationship, but it's not that divine. So thank you.
And one or several people out there, a few people said single but don't care anymore.
Yeah, I think one or two may have said that. So Thank you for answering that.
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit first, Eden, about conscious versus unconscious coupling and the difference between those two things first, and then we'll go into some of the other things here. So if you'd like to say just a little bit about that.
Yeah. So one thing that I really became present to is I, not only went through my own journey in terms of what I'll call unconscious coupling, to sort of conscious coupling, to soulmates versus twin flames. And we'll get into that in a minute as well. But really the key difference when you talk about unconscious coupling, I'm sure we've all had those relationships, whether they were in our teenage years or 20s or 30s or beyond, I was married in the past and it was absolutely an unconscious coupling, which is why I'm not there anymore, thankfully. But it was one of those things where unconscious coupling is often when we still have so much healing to do. And I like to use the term, we're not fully awake yet to who we are at a soul level, that we come together really based on the past. And what I mean by that is wounds that we haven't yet healed. That person has certain wounds, you have certain wounds. You come together often based on, frankly, a checklist. Maybe it's how you were raised. So you think, oh, I need someone who's either not like my father or not like my mother, because God forbid I should ever be with that kind of person.
Or exactly like them.
Or the opposite, exactly like them. So you seek out someone who represents, obviously some subconscious level and Freudian level of what that person represents to you. And it's not to say there's not love present there. Of course, there can be love and fire and passion in the beginning, but where often those kind of relationships start to not work after a few years or a few decades, of course, being married and children, is that, as John so beautifully said, there's those 4 levels of connection, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and sort of the spiritual or energetic or soul level. And often it's that soul piece that's not quite there. Just to reference again myself, I remember in that marriage, there was always that deep feeling that this isn't the one. That, yeah, on the surface, had the nice house, nice cars, the jobs, the whatever, but it just constantly just butt up against each other because there wasn't that same path in life, path at a soul level. And it became so hard after a while. And that can often be the case when you're not in that kind of conscious relationship or divine relationship, is that those issues just start butting against each other. And if one person starts to awaken, which I'm sure, given, it said here, there's some people on this call, they're in a relationship, but they don't consider it divine. Maybe you yourself might be waking up and awakening to a greater purpose in your life, or you feel a calling of some sort, and you're just not seeing that in the other person, and they're not matching where you're at. And that's exactly what happened in my case. It just started going, whoa, like this is not feeling right. And it becomes really hard and sometimes very wounded because of it.
The other thing is, I think that structure really helped for me. In terms of viewing things on those 4 levels. And even sometimes we have relationships, we've been floating around for a while, we don't understand why we're still single maybe sometimes, but being able to understand that there are truly 4 levels that we can connect on, and if something is missing on one of those levels, then something is going to be missing in the relationship. And so
it's only so long you can really ignore it often before that's just going to come up, to face you again. It could be a decade later, but it's eventually gonna butt in the head. And I know John, a lot of times it's talked about men, sometimes especially, let's say they look for the physical ideal partner, right? First, sort of treat it like they do a business. I know you've mentioned that,
Well, that's another point of that. I sometimes feel that men who are not certainly, just men that aren't maybe fully healed in their masculine, they approach relationships like they would approach a business, and then they wonder why it doesn't work out. And so, but I just think that, what I used to say when I had met Eden and when we were first dating and getting really to know each other, is that it really was the first time for me that I was in a relationship that was not based on the past. And if it's not based on the past, if it's not based in some way that I'm trying to react from the past, it's completely new, and we have the ability to create this anew. If I'm not in this relationship to also to be able to be complete in some way, if I'm looking for her to complete me in some way, that to me is an unconscious coupling. And that we're going to be getting into this in a little bit, but I feel like the only way to truly be completely conscious is to come to the relationship as whole and complete as you can, because we're all working on that to a degree, right?
Yeah.
But to come into it as whole as you can, so that when you come together with another person who's also whole, then you come together and, as Neil Donald Walsh says, you celebrate your completeness together. And I feel like that is a really key point in coming together consciously. And one of the other things I'll say this is as far as like unconscious versus conscious coupling is that it's about a choice. It's about a conscious choice. And I know for me and Eden, we've really chosen each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, this was, really big for Joseph Campbell, a big hero of mine. And every single day he would say, Barbara, I choose you.
His wife.
Yes, his wife. And so it is like that conscious choosing. And of course it happens earlier in a relationship, but it happens also throughout the relationship. Each day, each week, we continue to choose each other. And I think it's not by default, but by that conscious choice, it allows you to actually create a conscious relationship.
Now, let's talk about getting to soulmates versus twin flames. Because once you pretty much everyone on this call, I'm going to say, is here for a conscious relationship because you're here. So obviously you're conscious to the fact you're entering or seeking to enter a relationship, right? So the next level that, a lot of questions we get often is, what is the difference between twin flames and soulmates? And many of you probably saw the article that I posted on Facebook and other sites that got quite a strong response. Because, we all like to have that fantasy romantic, like, oh, the twin flame or the soulmate, and that's who I'm going to meet, and that'll be my forever happy ending. And we like to say, the clouds part and the sun comes out in doves, and we're all like, oh, it's perfect. It's not. Life is life. Our soul's evolution is always going to happen, and there's going to be lessons. However, that being said, I'll differentiate this. First, soulmates. There's a lot of talk, a lot of writings out there on this. From my experience, my own guidance, things I've received as well, and also, other reading out there, the consensus, I'll say, is pretty much you don't just have one soulmate, you have numerous soulmates. There's the concept that we come down in soul groups to be born, groups of people from all walks of life, male, female, everything, that we come down that we have lived several lifetimes with. And we agree at some point to come together with that person. Now, as a soulmate, this is where, when you meet someone, you have that instant sense of recognition. And it could be romantic or not. It could be, best friends that you have that, you saw the moment you met them. It was that, oh, I know you. But in a soulmate situation, it's similar that there's that instant recognition. And there might be that feeling like the first time you get together, you talk for, 10 hours straight. And oh my gosh, there's all this similarity and feelings and passion that happen because there's that sense of connection. There's already that sense that they know my soul, I can see their soul. Even if it's not spoken, it's underlying. Now, the thing with soulmate relationships is that because they're based on partly the past or partly what you're coming together for in this lifetime, they can often be based on a reason why you're coming together, and that is to heal or to grow, or to use the term karma that a lot of people know, is to fix something or, again, heal something from the past. So it's not to say that soulmate relationships can't be incredibly powerful, incredibly beautiful, result in marriage and children if that's your choice, or, everlasting for this lifetime. But it still is a sense of something to heal. You're coming together once again. In a past life, maybe you were husband, wife, maybe you were, mother, child, or father, son, who knows? You could be multiple different types of relationships, and those may come up during a relationship. But ultimately, what I've really seen with soulmate relationships is they're very much just for this lifetime, meaning there's the agreement, you come together, heal, grow, do what you need to do, and then it's done. Your agreement that you've made, that contract, so to speak, is complete at the end of this lifetime, and you move on to whatever you move on to next, be it another lifetime or beyond, but it's complete. And again, if it does end early, let's say after a few months, few years, or a few decades, it can be incredibly painful to lose a soulmate, but often in time, you can come back to it and go, you know what? Wow, that relationship was so potent, so passionate, and it hurt like hell when it ended, but you see that it was for a reason. There's often an honoring there that you came together for a reason. Again, it might take a couple of years before you realize that, but often in soulmate relationships, if you're conscious to it, you'll go, you know what? I honor that person because they made me grow, or they helped me heal or get to a next stage in my life.
Beautiful. And twin flames, what's the difference there?
Okay. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's great.
So with twin flame relationships, so I have to catch my breath. I'm pregnant, so everyone knows I'm very, very pregnant, so it's harder to speak.
Our love is growing.
Yes, our love is growing.
By the moment.
Number 2 in a few weeks. So when it comes to twin flames, this is, again, I say the romantic ideal that everyone tries to strive for. But I would caution that, of course, it's not always blissful, right? Not every relationship is. Us, maybe not always blissful.
What do you mean?
It's great, but really the purpose of twin flames coming together is once you are fully conscious, it's about coming together for something greater. What I always see in twin flames, and we know several friends now that I would absolutely call twin flame relationships, is it was fiery coming together. There was often a lot to heal. There was a lot that they had to step into personally to be at that space, to be ready for their twin flame. And most importantly, that a twin flame relationship is really about creation. And what I mean by that is, what are you stepping in together to create? It really is the ultimate balance of divine masculine and divine feminine, or sacred feminine, coming together into full wholeness, even though both are whole, coming into full wholeness to create that unity for complete power of creation. And this is what I see, and I know for John and I this happened, that once we fully merged and came into union, not only did everything came up for healing, because we had to sort of go through a deep purification process, that there was nothing to hide. We use the term radical honesty is something that was very scary in the beginning, but something we committed to. And having radical honesty means there's nothing to hide, nothing to prove. And nothing to hide may seem like not much, but that meant nothing to hide about who you are, your past, your dreams, what you want to do, what's important to you, how you express yourself. I remember a profound moment for me, as silly as it might seem, is based on, soulmate relationship I'd had, or my ex-husband, that, I used to sort of sneak out to do drum circles or like goddess group gatherings, and that was cuckoo stuff, right? The weird stuff and the woo-woo crowd. So I could never show that was a part of what I did. And I remember I went to one and I came back, and John was at the house I had at the time, the apartment, and I had a sort of sparkly bindi on. Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. And I came in and I saw him, and I went to peel it off because I was like, oh my God, he's going to think I'm crazy. And he was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you taking that off? It's beautiful. And I remember I almost burst into tears. I remember that.
Like, you never have to apologize to me for adorning yourself in beauty. And so.
And I think you also apologize for who you are.
Yeah. Or apologize for who you are.
Yeah, you never have to apologize for who you are. And that was so profound for me. I just remembered, oh my God, I've spent so many relationships hiding aspects of who I am. Again, those 4 levels of connection. And for the first time, I didn't have to hide anymore, because it was, here's who I am, completely bare, and it's perfect. And again, John speaking this about who we're becoming was important as well. Yeah, well,
the thing about radical honesty is that it's not really convenient. It sounds really great until you're in it and you're like, God, do I really have to admit that? Or wait, I really just want to sweep this under the rug. I don't want to bring this up right now. And it's some really, really tough conversations that Eden and I had in that first year together, second year together, of not having anything to hide. And but we could do this because we felt like there was something just beyond just us coming together here. Mm-hmm. And so, we feel we're in a twin flame relationship, mm-hmm. in essence, 2 essences in the sense of kind of like a same soul kind of coming together, counterparts truly of the same soul, really, really coming together here.
Yeah. And something I want to add to that as well.
Okay. Well, no, what I was just going to say is that, and this is a part of also conscious coupling overall, is that it's not just who you are right now, but it's who you're becoming. Mm-hmm. And it's who that other person is becoming. Because what I feel we're all becoming is we're becoming more divine. And so is that compatible? Does that work? Is that connecting on all 4 levels? Not only who are you now, but who you're becoming. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you can answer that question, well, then you're going into it a lot more consciously. And so, certainly, just because you may even have a soulmate relationship, or maybe even a twin flame relationship, it doesn't always have to be conscious. It doesn't always have to be conscious.
It might not always work out either in this lifetime.
It's just
because one person may be more, I don't say evolved, but going more on their journey in a certain path, and it may or may not, work at this time if that other person that you're looking to couple with isn't at the same place. And that's the other thing. Are they ready to step in? Because I've met and talked to a lot of people now, a lot of our clients that say, I had this beautiful relationship, it seemed like a soulmate relationship. It was so profound, but then again, they evolved, or the other person, it just didn't mesh. And that doesn't mean you did something wrong. It was just perhaps right now where they're at, it didn't come together. The last thing I'll say about twin flame relationships is that, again, that power of creation. Everyone we've seen that's really stepped into even a soulmate, but especially a twin flame relationship, there's a power of creation, as I mentioned, that once the purification happens and we came together so whole and complete, our power to manifest, to step into something more, was just our journeys, if you will, our soul journeys sped up so rapidly, because that power of coming together was just, wow, look out when we set our intention together. And that's really the beauty of them as well. And that we know ultimately as twin flames, our relationship does not end after this lifetime, right? He's stuck with me for eternity. But I mean that in all seriousness, that if you read a lot out there, it says, twin flames, and I believe this, that after this lifetime that we merge back into one energy and back into source or wherever we go after this. And so it really is a completion of a cycle, be it thousands or 10,000s or millennia, that you come back together to complete a cycle. So again, everything that's going to entail to become fully whole and complete again is part of that kind of relationship. And so there is a purification process that we constantly go through. If we veer off a little bit because we're having a bad week or month or whatever, we get slapped upside the head pretty hard to be that divine mirror for each other consistently. And we have to step back in.
It's also interesting because one of the other things that Eden and I have both led from time to time are wedding ceremonies. Mm-hmm. And we actually call them divine union ceremonies, because for us, when we officiate and lead a wedding, it's a true merging of not only man and woman or their individual lives, okay, but it's merging at a soul level. Mm-hmm. And being able to hold that for each person, and for that kind of divine merging and that kind of divine union to take place, it's been very interesting when people are ready for that and what happens in their relationship afterwards, and maybe when they might not be ready for that, and they get married, and then those things come together. And so
we've seen that too. People coming together thinking it's divine union, and they're not fully ready, to step in. So there is that consciousness of stepping in.
So we always run low on time here, but the biggest part of creating or attracting your divine partner for me is this concept. For me, I feel like the attention for me in attracting and creating a divine relationship, the attention I have is completely on me. It's on me. I heard from a shaman in a seminar a number of years ago to stop seeking the right partner and instead become the right partner. And when I heard that, my entire world changed. Because up to that point, I was always seeking her. I was always trying to find her. I was seeking many things in my life: a successful business. I was seeking, the right kind of spiritual path. I was seeking, the maximization of myself. But definitely, I was also seeking the right woman. And
again, usually the right person is based on
all the attention is outside myself. Mm-hmm. And so it was a real huge, paradigm shift, if you want to call it that, of instead of I'm not seeking anymore. And instead, I'm just simply going to become the right partner, become the man that is worthy of my ideal partner's choosing. And I said to Eden, actually it was on our first date, said, I must be the man that you choose. I must be the man that is worthy of your choosing, with the emphasis being I must be. Mm-hmm. And so for me at the time, I had to really look at myself. I really had to go ahead and look at, well, who is that person then? Mm-hmm. And for me at the time, my journey at that point was a whole huge thing around self-love and being a little more easy on myself. And basically the person that would choose me, then I needed to be, for me, I needed to be able to show myself more self-love on a regular basis. I needed to be more gentle with myself, even with my own self-talk. I needed to be, a man of self-love that was more at peace with himself. Mm-hmm. And so it took a whole bunch of personal work I'm still doing. And
let me just say that when he said that to me, on our first date, that I want to be, worthy of my ideal partner's choosing, I kind of went, it really made me go, wow, well, if he's stepping into that, then it made me raise my game. It made me go, wow, then if I need to be fully complete too, because what if he is my ideal partner, then, and I still have, at that point, I had a whole lot of crap going on, a lot of stuff to heal, and was not ready to step into a relationship. But it made me go inward as well. So again, that divine mirroring, he really immediately made me see me for myself, where I also had to heal. And so we launched on this year or two long, healing journey, so to speak, to really be able to come together powerfully. And again, it started happening very quickly because we both consciously stepped in. So that's what's really key.
Yeah, I think Eden really summed it up too. If you haven't read her article that came with the newsletter and had been posted recently on Facebook, it was such a beautiful last paragraph in that article that sums this up as well. And she said, become an abundance of overflowing love yourself, for yourself, and for everyone around you. And I promise you, the exact right man or woman will show up in the timing, way, and place they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. That no relationship is always blissful, but once love is anchored at the core of your being, a romantic union will manifest that is a reflection of your soul. Mm-hmm. And so for me, those are three things. It's being more of a flow of love itself, of love for yourself, and then for everyone around you. I mean, that's who I want to be in a relationship with. Mm-hmm. And so it's, I've been shown in many different things lately that it's about loving more. That the only way I'm going to get through what I need to get through, what we're doing right now as a family and everything else, mm-hmm. I just need to be more love more of the time. Mm-hmm. But how? And so it's breaking it down into a little bit more specifics of those three things. And oftentimes, I feel like our natural state is love and joy, but we tend to screw ourselves up. And so oftentimes it's about seeing, well, what's in the way of me fully loving myself? What's fully in the way of me fully loving others? And maybe there are judgments there. Maybe there are things that I need to forgive. People I may need to forgive. People I might be blaming, or for things.
In past relationships who you're blaming, even if they did some crappy stuff.
Yeah, and so
look at yourself.
It's doing your own personal work. That I feel like if most of the people here on the call, if you're single and wanting to attract it, well, the way you attract it is not by ramping up your Match.com profile. It's not about looking outside yourself. It's about being the person that your ideal partner would choose. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't end. I actually put that line in one of my wedding vows to Eden, and it doesn't end. I must be that man that's worthy of her choosing. And I've I'm not like, okay, great, I did that day, that month.
Yeah, we're good.
I don't have to do that anymore. No, it's a continual thing. And that's the thing, too, with the people who are already in relationship here, that it is about a choosing, but it's also about a choosing to be for yourselves, so that you are that person that the other person wants to continually choose.
Because you are whole. You do become complete.
And so let's go ahead and lead that guided journey.
Yeah, and I apologize. We are going to run over today.
We're going to run over about 10 minutes.
But
if you can hang out with us for another 10 minutes or so, we might take a question or two at the end as well.
Yeah. So
the intent. Let me say a little bit about the intent of this guided journey, because it's no joke. And
start getting settled as we talk. So
yes, and so if you've been,
typing
emails or washing the dishes or something as we've been talking, you may want to stop that for this portion of what we're about to do. Because you want to set your intent with this journey. And whether this applies, whether you are in your divine relationship or whether you're not in one, it's about coming together at a soul level with a soul partner. Could be a soul mate, could be that twin flame relationship. Set your intention for who you'd like to come and commune with. And through this guided journey that Eden is going to lead, you're going to get a sense to actually commune with that soul, with the energy of that soul, and get some information from them. Get some information about who do you need to be for that person to show up? Who do you need to be in order to have that person be present in your life? And so I would just say, just set your intent right now before we begin to commune with that energy, and feel free to close your eyes now. We'll be closing our eyes. And Eden, if you'd like to take it from here.
Okay. So as John just said, I just want everyone kind of, again, lose any busyness that you have, texting, Facebooking, whatever it may be. And just kind of settle in your chair, couch, or the floor, whatever, your bed, wherever you're at. And just start taking a deep breath for me. In and out. Just take a deep breath and let yourself settle in. And as you take a deep breath, just start to feel into your heart space, letting it soften, relax, letting the shoulders soften. And again, just feeling that heart space soften. Once again, I'm going to lead you on a guided journey. Just use your imagination. Just follow my voice. And it's just visioning and imagination. That's all it is. Everyone can do it, I promise. And so follow my voice. As you set your intention to meet your highest partner in this lifetime, whoever is meant for you in this lifetime. So as you take a deep breath, just imagine yourself starting to float up. Just imagine yourself floating up, 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 up out of your body, up to the roof of your room. Imagine just looking down, seeing yourself sitting there, knowing you're safe, you're protected, you're guided as you go. And see yourself going up through the ceiling, up through the roof of your home, your building, and up into the clouds, up higher and higher, hearing the city noises around you, or the trees, the birds, and up higher and higher, up into the clouds. Start to feel the clouds as you float along the clouds now, starting to fly, knowing you're being divinely guided. And as you fly along the clouds, start to notice that the clouds part. And as you see the clouds start to part beneath you, that you see a beautiful garden. And start to imagine yourself floating down through the clouds, down towards this beautiful garden that's calling to you, a beautiful grass field, a beautiful garden. As you float down, 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 and feel yourself touching down, feel your feet touching down upon this garden. Perhaps it's a beautiful meadow, perhaps there's flowers everywhere, a river, whatever it may be for you. And as you look around, just notice what's in this garden. What does this meadow look like? But as you look around, notice in the distance a bright light starting to come towards you. It's far off right now, but call it forward. Say, thank you, please come. And see this light coming towards you, bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger. And as this light comes close, see it start to manifest into form, into a person, whoever it may be for you, that is standing in front of you. And as they manifest into form in front of you, see their eyes look at you, and your eyes look at them. And feel in your heart that spark of recognition, that they know you, and that you know them. Just smile at each other for a moment and nod, and thank them for coming. And knowing that there is a sense of reunion and deep love between you both, I want you to ask them, what is it that I need to heal for you to show up in my life? And listen. What is it that I need to heal for you to show up in my life? And now ask them, who do I need to be ready for you? Who do I need to be ready for you? Perhaps there's words or just a feeling in your own body. Or perhaps they show you something. And now's the time to ask this soul partner standing in front of you, is there anything else that you want to know or that they want to know from you? Ask them now. And now I want you to thank them. Thank you for coming, whoever you may be. See them nod and reach out and place their hand on your heart. And reach out and put your hand on their heart. And just feel this deep love between you both. But also feel the completeness that you both have. That you are both whole and complete. And acknowledge that you will come together in the perfect right timing, in the perfect place, exactly when you're meant to. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for showing up in my life, whole and complete, as I will be too. And now, saying your goodbyes, I want you to float back up. See them starting to float away back into light. As you also let go of this beautiful moment, trusting and knowing you received everything you were meant to. And float up, up, up. Up back into the clouds, floating back, back, back. Come back. Feel yourself being pulled back. And once again, start to see the clouds part and descending down, seeing your home, your building, coming down through the ceiling, down through the roof, seeing your body sitting there, laying there once again, and come down fully present, fully back in your body, feeling your sit bones or laying down. Fully feel yourself in your body once again. Taking some deep breaths. Great.
And now feel free to just integrate that and make any notes that you feel you may need to make. And what's important is that you see what might need to shift for you as a result of this new information. What might need to shift, what might need to heal.
So we have one question that's come up. Well, a couple are starting to come up, but this one is...
kind of a long question.
Let me read. Let's read it first. Go back. I gotta read too.
Oh.
Okay. So can you be in a relationship with your twin flame for years without knowing it? And if one person is very spiritual and the other isn't, but the relationship is one of immense growth, awareness, and love, is it possible for the connection between you two to not feel sacred and passionate enough simply because one partner is not deeply connected? Or should you feel like you just know from the start? If you're in love but haven't been struck by lightning, it's probably not your twin flame. It's a great question. I would say two things. From my own experience, I think, when John and I met, it wasn't necessarily oh my God, again, I used the example of, clouds parting, doves, and everything twinkly perfect by any means. So can you be in a relationship and realize it's not twin flame? Absolutely. I think it's, in part where you're at, where, as I mentioned, where the other person's at, because you may be starting to recognize where you're at in your spiritual journey, but they're not there yet. But if you have that deeper sense that there is that soul connection there, then, I believe absolutely it could be.
Yeah, although there was a heart constellation in the sky.
Yeah, that's true. There are a lot of signs.
Walk together.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something going on, and doves parting to a degree, at least in my world it was. And so
I was just messed up.
I think everything is such an, this is, relationships are such an individual thing. And so it's, anything is possible, but how can you approach it as consciously as possible? But it is difficult. And I think one of the things that I most hear is, hey, we've got a lot of things in common. We've got a lot of things in this relationship, but the spiritual element is lacking in some way, or the energetic element is not there. But my husband's a great provider, and there are other things that other ways he shows love, and so
there's a lot of growth.
And what do you do in that situation? And I think it's kind of a tough one, and it really depends on how much upheaval do you want to have in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to really have a true divine relationship, some things may need to fall away in order to have that. I'll just say that. Mm-hmm. Where I'm now, I'm living in a completely different place. Work is radically shifted. Life looks totally different from when I first met Eden. Yeah. And I was ready for it. I welcomed that. And so, but only you can know, and only you can approach this as consciously as possible. Only you can try to have the other person approach it as consciously as possible.
And it could very much just be, what we call it, the soulmate relationship. And again, doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean that's not perfect for this lifetime. It can't be beautiful and amazing. It can be. So again, I don't want anyone out there holding that the epitome is twin flame and that's all I have to go for. It. It's not that, then I need to let go. Not necessarily. Again, it's your heart. You need to decide in your journey where you're at,
So we've got several really good questions here, but we're also at our time. We've got questions about, is it possible to meet your twin flame?
Sense real quick. So this one, is it possible your twin flame but not be able to be together during this lifetime? Absolutely. Can you meet your next lifetime? Absolutely. See, time and time again, maybe there's beautiful, powerful or soulmate relationships or a soulmate relationship that you could have in this lifetime that again is still amazing and powerful and beautiful and growth. but that twin flame where you're coming together for a greater purpose of some sort of creation, that your purpose of being together is greater than your coupling, is meant for the next lifetime. Absolutely. So again, don't feel that the twin flame is the end all and be all. And if you don't get that, you know, bum luck in this lifetime. It's not that at all. It's really just, again, being that love and allowing the right type of relationship for where you are showing up that will be fulfilling and beautiful because of who you are. So I hope that helps right there.
Okay.
And last but not least, absolutely, there can be multiple people that show up in your vision, in your journey that we just did. If several people showed up, great. Aren't you lucky? You know, you have multiple people loving you out there.
Maybe one is a true twin flame. Maybe one is just a soulmate. That's for you to determine. It depends on what information you got from them. And we realize that these journeys, you know, we're holding a very strong space for everyone during the journey. If you need to go deeper, if you're you know, getting some clarity but you need more, you know, all I can say is reach out to us if you feel called to. And you know, part of this, you know, we're, you know, trying to make a difference in the way that we can in quite a short amount of time. And so if it's something that you feel, I would just really encourage you to do your own personal work to get the clarity that you might need. Of course, Eden and I are always available to work with people via Skype all over the world in a more in-depth way, just for them. But I would
send us your questions.
But I would encourage you to please do your own work and see what needs to be done. If you've got, I mean, it could be kind of an interesting thing, but could be quite a conundrum as well if more than one person showed up. And so thank you. Thank you again for tuning in. Sorry again about that technical difficulty. I want to get to the bottom of that. But if you did like this video, please actually like it, if you would, on either you know, Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're actually viewing it. If you're viewing it, the recording of it, and please share it with people that are important to you. And you know, if you are not watching this on JohnandEden.com, would love for you to go there, because all of the comments and all the other kinds of guided journeys, they're all there on the JohnandEden.com website. And if you're not signed up for our newsletter list, please sign up for that as well, because there's exclusive content that's only on that list, and you can get that as well by just visiting our website. So thank you again for tuning in.
Thank you.
Blessings, and
that was
for further questions or anything else, feel free to just contact us through our website, John and Eden. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.